Alright, I wanted to show you guys, I got the hot side coated on my messy ass car. Here's the turbine. I think he said this black coating is good for like 2600 degrees, something like that. But yeah, it came out nice, looks nice. I might not even put the blanket back on, we'll see. Here's the headers. There's another scratch. A little scratch here, scratch there. But yeah, it came out really nice. It's kind of smooth and like a flat black color. And then the downpipe, I didn't want to do in black. I wanted to switch it up a little bit. So here's the old trombone. That's what I call it. This looks like a giant trombone. But this is different coating, different color, different texture. It's a little like rough. I kind of like it. I wanted to break it up a little bit. I don't want everything all black. So this is, I think he says good for like 1300 degrees. So we'll see if it holds up. I know coming out of here, well, right here, I have my temperature probe, and I've seen it hit 1000, 1200 degrees. Because I mean, when you're on it, there's fire coming out of here. You know, it's hot. But most of the pressure and heat is going to be at the merge here. That's where, and at like the collector, that's going to be where it gets hottest. And yeah, I'm happy with it, and we'll see how it holds up. I mean, if it starts flaking or whatever, then I don't know. I'm not a fan of the wrap, but the header wrap, but you know, maybe that'll be the only thing. I know they say that's probably the best stuff to use, but I don't like it. I don't like the look. It's itchy to deal with because it's based off fiberglass, you know. But yeah, we'll see if it holds up. Okay, so I got the new pickup tube. This is for F-body. And of course we run into a problem because this is a truck windage tray. And this is the old pickup tube. It mounts to a different location. It mounts over here, and that's why there's this cutout. So what we're gonna have to do is cut it out. Cut that little hole out so this fits in there like that, because it hits. It hits right here. Okay, I put it on the vise and cut it out. See if it fits. This is like a two-man operation. Alright. It's hitting a little bit there, but that'll be fine. Alright, let me put the O-ring on. Make sure that's seated right. And I'll put the oil pan on. Okay, here's the oil pan. There's that little baffle I installed, the improved racing oil baffle. And let's see if it fits. Okay, it's just a test fit. Put it on there. And then I spun the engine a few times. Make sure it's not hitting. I think my last time it hit here for some reason underneath. But this one's good. It's not hitting. So I got to put the front cover on first and line all this up before you tighten it. It's got to be flush and even. I think we got to put a little bit of goop on the corners to seal it. And yeah, let me put the front cover on. Alright, I got the front cover on just loose. You got to line these up. And what Manny has, this is an old damper, and he hogged it out a little bit so it slides over the crank snout, and it'll let you center it on the seal. So you leave it loose, put the oil pan on, and then tighten everything so you're trying to get this to be somewhat level. The back's already set. Put a little bit of goop on every corner. And put the oil pan on. I just noticed something here. Manny ported the oil holes. Sneaky bastard. They don't call them bag of tricks for nothing. That'll help. Little shit like that. You know, deburr everything. It helps when you do stuff like that. Okay, got the damper on. And that crank bolt, that was a bitch. Calls for 240 foot-pounds, which my torque wrench only goes to 150. So I put it to 150 and then basically made it as tight as I could. Felt like I was going to flip the engine off the engine stand. But put some Loctite on it, so I think it'll be fine. Next thing that we're thinking about, this is my oil feed to the turbo. And with the Holley Terminator system, I have to put in a oil pressure sensor somewhere. So I'm not really sure where. Like my old setup, I have off this plate down here. We drilled a hole and we mounted my sensor for the gauge, for the oil pressure gauge. So we're thinking maybe we could tee off that or do something here. Like I also need fuel pressure. I bought this thing here. Let me show you. It's like a little fitting. They're pretty common. It's just it's got a, where is it? It's got a hole on the side, right there. It's got a hole on the side so you can screw a sensor in. So what we're going to do with the fuel pressure is just put this in line somewhere on one of the fuel lines. And in theory, I could do the same thing here. Just put it in line and then mount the sensor on the side there. And you're basically just, you know, stealing the oil pressure signal from there. Yeah, I mean, shouldn't be too hard, but it's gonna, you know, it just takes time. You gotta cut the AN line, the braided hose, and make it fitting. You know, and then, but this one's for the fuel pressure. It's too big. The oil feed line is only a -4. This is -6, and I'm thinking this will go up front here probably, where I have the crossover for the. I have my what's it called? The alcohol content sensor right here, like the fuel rails on each side, and then there's a crossover pipe, crossover line, and I have the alcohol content sensor right there. So I'm thinking maybe we can squeeze this in there somewhere. Yeah, because I'll need fuel pressure and I'll need oil pressure. I do have the sensors already. They're from Low Dollar Motorsports, I think it's called. And yeah, they're just, you know, 0 to 100 sensors. And they're configured already in the tune I got. I got a tune I downloaded from Matt. He puts all his tunes up on Sloppy Mechanics, and it's actually from Brett DeLong's car. 6.0, the Sloppy Stage 2 I think he has, and 78, 75 turbo. So it's going to need some tweaking, but it's nice because all the sensors are set up. The content sensor is set up for E85. The flex fuel shit's all set up. So that'll make it easier rather than trying to configure everything myself on a totally new system. I'll just start with his and then tweak it to what I need. But yeah, I think we can stuff it in the car soon, hopefully. What's up, guys? We're cruising in the Cruise, my little beater car. I'm on my way to the auto parts store. I gotta get some fittings for the oil pressure sensor. It's one of those things. You try and prepare and have everything ready, and you know, I had like 3 months to get everything, but there's always shit that pops up. Just like that. The oil pickup tube. Oh yeah, I'll just get an F-body one. Nope, not that easy. Gotta modify the windage tray. But that wasn't too hard. Got that, you know, squared away pretty quick. Yeah, I need some fittings for the oil pressure sensor on the Holley uses. You can log oil pressure. And that's one of the reasons why I'm switching over from the stock computer. Stock computer, there were ways that you could do it, but I wasn't doing it. I wasn't logging. But also with the Terminator, you can set it up so if oil pressure suddenly drops, it'll cut the engine, cut spark, cut fuel, whatever. Potentially save your engine. Like what happened with my engine was clearly an oiling issue. And if I had that, set up with the Terminator, it might have saved the engine. It would have cut it when the oil pressure went down, and you would have scratched your head like what happened. But then you could go back on the logs and look at it, and you would see that the oil pressure dropped. And so it uses oil pressure, also uses fuel pressure sensors. So same thing with the fuel pressure. If that you can set it up so if it drops, it'll cut fuel, it'll cut spark. Potentially save your engine from melting itself down. The stock computer doesn't have any of that shit. There are ways, again, there's ways you can do it. There's ways you can log it. There's ways you can set it up to do, but you need you got to piggyback it with a little box or what have you, and shit just gets complicated. But yeah, for the price, the Terminator is really good. So going to get fittings for that. Manny's working on the clutch setup. I'm switching the clutch setup. Before I was using old school bell housing, still hydraulic clutch, but it was using a fork on the throwout bearing with a slave cylinder that pushes on the fork, that. So now it's going to be a hydraulic slave cylinder, which is what all the new cars use. It just slides over the input shaft. Hydraulic lines go to it, and it's got a spring on it. You push the clutch pedal, it pushes on the pressure plate. But we also need fittings for that. So Manny's gonna drill and tap that because he uses the factory stuff. It's like a push lock type of fitting, and they're just a pain in the ass. So we're just gonna go ahead and use like AN fittings. I also got like a bleeder kit, and so because that thing is inside the bell housing, it's a pain in the ass to bleed. So the bleeder kit extends it out a little bit. Gotta do that. The other thing we didn't think about is the back of the crankshaft. I had this issue last time. The crankshaft where the flywheel bolts on, where your pilot bushing goes in, pilot bearing goes in. If you look inside the crank, there's a plug. I guess it's drilled through hollow, and then they put like a plug. It kind of looks like a freeze-out plug, like on your engine block or whatever. And last time, it started leaking on me, and so it was leaking oil out through and onto the input shaft, which in turn it got on the clutch. And years ago I had clutch slipping issues, which I was running a clutch that wasn't up to par anyway. But when we took it apart, we saw like the splatter around the bell housing. Like, what the hell is that? And found out that that plug was leaking, and so oil was getting in, flying around on the clutch, and just getting oil on the clutch, and it ain't gonna grab when that's happening. So he basically jammed a washer in there, and then hammered a washer in there, and then filled that hole with silicone, and that worked out good. So this time we're thinking something similar, maybe like an old pilot bushing or something, like brass one, jam it in there, just for added security, because it happened before, it might happen again. So we're doing that. And but yeah, as far as the motor, we got it all pretty much buttoned up. I got the oil pan on, the front cover's on, the damper's on, and I set the intake on to see what kind of clearance, because that oil feed is in the back of the motor, and we're going to use the feed from the back of the motor where the old oil pressure sending unit was, on like an LS motor. It's in the back of the motor. We use that to feed the turbo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tee off of that to put the sensor for the oil pressure for the Terminator. And so we had to mock it up to make sure we got room. It gets tall, it gets wide. I got fuel lines going back there. And we came up with a solution with just some brass fittings. I mean, brass fittings aren't the prettiest. I personally would rather use AN, so maybe I'll switch that later on. But even even at some point you still have to have an NPT fitting, which is the tapered thread, and you put sealant tape on it. You know, after a while they might leak. Just keep an eye on it. It should be all right. But and then people hate on brass fittings too because they're ugly. But again, it's going to be in the back of the motor. Maybe I'll switch it later on. But for now, yeah, we're just going to go get some brass fittings, and I also need oil filter. I'll probably just get 2 right off the bat because, you know, after we start it up and let it run for a while, I'll probably change the oil right away. So I'll just get 2 right off the bat. And I don't think we're going to shove it in the car today, but it's definitely getting close. We still got to run the wiring harness. And, yeah, just... start messing with the Terminator, then, you know, wire it all up. Yeah, we got the water pump on. I tried to clean it up, but it's all crusty. It's an old truck water pump. I thought about getting a new one, but the new ones are different. They have, it's like a push-in plate in the back. I guess it's designed to like blow out if you have excess pressure issues, or I don't know, maybe it's designed to save the engine from cracking if it freezes or something. But mine has actual bolts that hold it, so that's important because I'm running the F-body accessories, which are a different spacing on the you know, as far as the serpentine belt goes. So to make that truck pump work, they're spaced out further. It was pretty simple. All we had to do was press the pulley closer to the engine a little bit, and it's fine. But if you try to do that with a newer pump, it's going to pop that back plate right off. There's no bolts holding it. So there's nothing wrong with mine besides it's a little crusty. But yeah, and then we'd have to tap, because we tapped the fittings for the heater hoses because they're in the way of my my turbo exhaust header is right there. So we tapped it and put 2 90s facing up because it was crashing like right into the exhaust header. But yeah, that's not a big deal. But yeah, I don't know. He's messing with the bell housing too. I got that new bell housing, and we have to cut a little bit of the bell housing. It's like little shit that you don't think about, like, because my exhaust is 4-inch, and it goes on the passenger side down the firewall, goes right past the starter, and it's so tight right there that, because it's 4-inch pipe, that we cut a little bit of the bell housing off because it was hitting, and so it was only like 1/2 inch or something, but you know, now I got a new bell housing, we got to cut that again. So now I mean, it's something we probably could do when it's in the car, which is like a sawzall, just go in there and hack it down. But he's going to try and measure off the old one and see if we can cut it and get it right, and then the exhaust will fit. But yeah, all right, let me run into the store, get some fittings, and I'll talk to you guys soon.